And just give your body a pat, give it a little wiggle, let it know it's going to get to rest while the soul part of you does some work. And that's kind of a nice way to be. I'm Mary Bell Nyman from Psychic Horizons in Boulder, and we're on week 2 of using your intuition and energy in life during global change. Who knew? So take a deep breath and just let's start like we do every week. Let's ground. We're going to anchor that first chakra at the base of the spine to the very center of the earth. Just allowing it to be connected. And make that grounding cord, that connection, as big around as your hips. And its job is just to anchor you and let go of everything that isn't yours. And just like when you turn water on in a faucet, it just automatically stays on until you turn it off. So it's the same with the grounding. All you have to do is turn it on and let it stay. And take about 3 deep breaths. Exhaling slowly. It lets your body know you're turning off the world and going inside, deep in the center of yourself. And that's the great thing about meditation. This is your own journey. We can all use the same tools, but our journeys are all going to be different. So as you settle in, as you ground, just getting the body quieter. Those of you that know how to work with chakras, you can turn that first chakra down to 10% open, and the second chakra down to 10% open. And the third chakra for men down to 50%, and for women, 70%. And as you do that, as you turn those chakras down, the body gets quieter and it lets the energy rise up into the higher chakras where you have your awareness and your knowingness and your truth. And this is a really interesting time on the planet. These next 2 weeks, the energies can be a little intense. So the things that are coming out or that are being triggered emotionally are mostly fear and terror. Isn't that great? Didn't you always want to work on that? Not really, but here it is. And so taking a deep breath and just saying hello to those feelings. Any fear, any terror that lives in your body. That's what the world is working on releasing. So here's an opportunity. You're in a neutral place, safe. And this can be a time where, from a safe space, you start to let go of any fear in the body. And fear is an interesting thing because we can pick it up so easily. Right now, I want you to start getting curious, kind of get a sense of your space, and put up a little temperature gauge from 0 to 100. And just see how much fear is in your body. Whether it's fear of the virus, whether it's political, whether it's a family situation, whatever it is, just see how much from 0 to 100 is in your space. And as you look at that gauge, say it goes to 70 or 80, then ask yourself, how much of that fear is actually yours? And maybe it's only 10. Maybe it's 20. But 20 is a lot less and a lot easier to handle than 80. So you want to ground out of that gauge anything that's not. And as you release any energy that isn't yours, you make room for the energy you would like to have. So you can fill that in, the energy you released, with peace, with certainty, amusement, neutrality. You've got so many choices. So really asking yourself as a spirit inside, what vibration do you need for your next step? We're going to sail into a little storm. So it's nice we're meeting weekly. So what color would support you? And just put that color all through your aura around your body. And you can even put it inside your body. Just giving yourself some new grounded space. And these are such great opportunities. As angry or as fearful as Earth, these big global changes, when they happen, no matter how they trigger us, it's an opportunity. And to me, it's an opportunity for forgiveness. And some things feel so big, they don't feel forgivable. And yet they are. And in order to return home, all of us do that in our life. You start to let go more and more of what you've been holding on to that isn't helpful or isn't yours. So again, please take a deep breath and just decide you're going to let go of some of the fear that's been triggered in your body this lifetime. From little on, whether you know what it is or not. Some things we're very painfully aware of. Other things, it's subtle. But just taking that energy, and I like to imagine wrapping it around a brick or hollowing a brick out and filling it with fear and dropping down your grounding cord. Because a rock or a brick can't stay in midair. You know, consciously, it's going to fall. Sometimes you have to help that brain out a little bit. So wrap any fear, any terror, any energy you want to let go of around a couple of bricks and just drop them down your grounding cord to the center of the earth. Energy isn't fussy. And you know, usually it's the energy that gets us much more than whatever's happening. It's the energy behind it. That's why we use energy tools. And breathe. And just release. Any fear of someone being senior to you, any fear of not having a choice, anytime you felt helpless or it felt hopeless, anytime when you weren't certain of what to do, how you were going to survive. Just start to let go of all those kinds of concepts. This is what's happening in the world. Earth is destined to be a spiritual planet. And in order to do that, the vibration is rising higher and higher, and everything that's not in harmony is coming out. And this is what we have to do on this journey back from life to death. So throughout your whole life, you have these experiences. And as you get older, you have a little bit more wisdom. You can kind of see around the edges a little bit. So you young pups, take heart. You got plenty of time. But you start to let go of all the things you've been holding on to. And you start to learn to forgive, to release it. Because put yourself in that person's situation. How would you want to be held if you'd made the greatest mistake in your whole life? How would you want to be held? Whether it's the COVID scientist that, hey, it got out of that lab somehow. We know it's man-made. So if that was you, and someone found out, hey, you were the maker of that, how would you want to be held? Would you want to be forgiven? Would you want to be damned for all eternity? So this is a great practice of letting go, of forgiving all the mistakes. And you know, it's so easy to see in someone else. Oh, we can see it so quick, it just pops right up. And you know, we don't even know we're doing it. You can be in the grocery store line and all of a sudden you're looking at what somebody else has bought. And you're starting to make judgments about what they're eating. And do you really care? No. But that part of the brain that judges and analyzes everything is always active. So tiny, tiny bit of amusement, just start to let go. Whatever you're holding on to that you've been judging. Whatever it is. And take a couple of deep breaths and let that energy go down your grounding cord. Sometimes you can feel that little tension in your gut, in your stomach. And that's when you know you're holding on. And that little kink is such a great reminder to let go, to let the energy flow. And as the world is releasing these emotions of fear and terror, if you've ever been near a bomb that went off, it just puts terror throughout your cells. You hold that vibration. And so you can give your body permission on a cellular level to release any of that vibration from your cells down the grounding cord. And again, you can talk to your DNA. This body is so capable. Just let it respond. You have 12 strands of DNA. It's like a rainbow. You can't separate them out into individual strands. It's just like if you played a harp, you played 12 strings at once. Just say hello to your DNA. And just say, hey, I want to release all the terror and fear out of my body, down my grounding cord. And you're just sitting there relaxed. You're safe. You're surrounded by people doing the same thing. And you just let go. You let that body start to hit that deep level of relaxation. And to me, this is the first step to really meditating, is letting go of all fear and hesitation care. Because when you can do that, then you can start to open that heart way up and experience the vibration of source within you. However you see that energy. To me, meditation doesn't have an attachment to a religion. It just is. It's your own intuitive self. To me, that's how the spirit part of us talks to our body, is through our intuition. And the better we get at listening, the easier it is to hear. And you know, that inner voice of yours is never wrong. It's amazing. Over and over again, you can play prove it with it all day long. It is always on track. The hardest part is trusting it, because we've been taught to look for answers outside of ourselves, but they're way inside. And as we get quiet, we can access them. It's a great reason to meditate, to find your own truth. And this funny thing happens. It's kind of like you cannot heal the dark. It's impossible. But you can shine light in it and it ceases to exist. So if you go in a dark room and you flip the light switch, voila, it's no longer dark. It's the same inside us. And the thing that causes darkness to dissipate is love. So the more you can release fear, the more you can open into love. Fear ceases to exist in the presence of love. So just for fun, we're going to do a little science experience. Start to vibrate your heart chakra. Okay, everybody knows where their heart is. If you don't, you're in trouble. But just let that heart vibrate. Just like your DNA, all you got to do is say hello to it and let it expand. Your heart chakra is just a little bit more towards the center than your physical heart. Just let that heart chakra expand. And ask yourself, what color is love to me? You can have 2 or 3 colors in there, whatever suits you. As it expands, it fills more and more of that chest cavity. And those colors start to radiate through the whole body and out into the aura. And just letting yourself be soothed or calmed with your own vibration of love. Just letting it flow through you. Giving it your total attention. Kind of like putting all of your trust in the hands of spirit. Living in spirit awareness is just an amazing way to travel. So letting yourself be cocooned by your awareness as spirit and that love vibration. And really interesting things start to happen as you do this. There's a great book called Power versus Force by David Hawkins. He was a medical doctor, still around. And he took all of the emotions that we go through and he gave them a vibration, a frequency. And love is at the frequency of 500. And when 12 people get together and they're vibrating love, it's equal to an avatar being on the planet. Now that's pretty cool. Because there's like, 38 of us here today. So 12 into 38, that's 3 avatars and a little bit more. So that energy starts to give yourself a healing, but it also starts to raise the vibration on the planet. That's why they love to have these group meditations where everybody calls in and they get 10,000 or 100,000 people, and whoa, that energy goes around the globe. It's amazing. And there's bunches of us that pray for the globe all the time from totally neutral, no political view, no judgment, just loving the heck out of that planet, being there for everybody. And when you have groups of individuals, it starts to change the whole frequency. And this is what starts to counteract or counterbalance all the fear and the terror. So, sometimes we sit down and we might meditate for 10 minutes or an hour, or you join a little group like this for an hour, and you think, gee, did I really do anything? Oh my Lord, if you could see how much change and awareness you bring, you'd be amazed. And so the other thing this guy did at 200 is courage. 200 cycles. So if there's 70 million individuals who vibrate around courage, it counterbalances all the people that are in a really low frequency, that are in grief and apathy, guilt and shame. One person holding pure consciousness counterbalances 700,000 stuck in the low vibrations. So even on a bad day, you're doing good. And it's so hard to remember that, because in our culture, we get bombarded from the media. It's all fear. It's all negative. It's rare. I think the only week I've seen it really positive was the week, Princess Diane, I think it was the week she died, and something else happened. But it was positive coverage of what a wonderful contribution she did as an individual. And it's amazing to watch all these shifts that, one person does. There was a guy who wrote 3 Cups of Tea as a book. And he was a hiker, he went to Afghan and saw that they didn't have schools. So he went back and he got funds and he started building all these schools. And the Taliban blew them up and they just kept rebuilding them. And he kept finding funds. It was just amazing how money came funneling to him. This is just one man created all these schools in Afghanistan just out of his heart. He just saw this need. Another was the $10 a month club. I belonged to it for years. It's out of Washington. People donated just 10 bucks a month, and he'd find projects where kids needed their teeth cleaned, or they needed, something. They needed something that there just weren't funds for. And anybody who had donations would give them, and he'd find where it should go. So it's interesting, the power of one person. And this is how we start to overcome all this darkness it feels that's out there. In these next 2 weeks, a lot more will be released. So let it go. It's coming out. It might feel intense. Let it go and just be aware when you get triggered to find that place inside. Go inward. That's where you'll find that peace, because you are an immortal spirit. You never die. You live forever. and you're deciding day by day what you want to be for the rest of your life. So you have within you this great capacity for love and peace, for reaching out, for compassion. And this is how you start to change the world. Little bit by little bit, person by person. And you take this awareness into your prayer or your meditation, and it becomes part of you 24/7. Take a deep breath. And just give yourself that validation that you can have this peacefulness 24/7. That you can indeed live it each moment as it unfolds in neutral, just observing. And when it gets hard, because sometimes it's hard to watch, go inward. Turn off the media and go inward. Otherwise, you get pulled into a trap. And if you can be present as life unfolds, oh, there's so much you learn, and there's so much more that you can expand into. Like, to me, meditation is the understanding of life. And life has its complexities. It's not always happy and joyful. It's misery and sorrow and loneliness and wanting to be successful and fear and envy, and all of this is still meditation. It's all part of life. So being able to have that part of life, no matter how it comes your way, it's just being neutral and being present to it. So it's part of us. So again, take a deep breath. And one more time, just give your body permission to let go of any fear, of any terror, whether it's this life, whether it's last lifetime, just releasing it, letting it go down that grounding cord and be transmuted in the earth. Here's a safe opportunity to release. And then put up another little gauge, 0 to 100, and see how much have you been able to release just tonight in the first half hour. 1%, 5%, 20. Just see what you see. This is science at its best. If you release that energy, what would you like in its place? Giving yourself that space to totally let go and change a frequency from one form to another. Excellent. And then if you can imagine a teeter-totter, a board that goes up and down, fulcrum, sitting right in the middle, looking at both sides. Earth has been the place of dichotomies, day, night, male, female, hot, cold, one side or the other, rich, poor. And Buddha taught us sitting in the middle of that is neutrality, where you're not rich, you're not poor, you're just being. And in that place of beingness, you can observe both sides. So just within you, notice how much fear do you have in your life? And just get that balance. How much love do you have in your life? And again, there's no right or wrong. Which do you have more of, fear or love? Kind of like a seesaw. You're just looking at both sides. And one of the things that's the most brilliant is in this space of spirit that you're in, you can look at your worst pain and where those two come together, where you can bring your spiritual truth to your worst pain. There's always a gift there when they sit side by side. You use energy tools in that place of neutrality and love and say hello to that pain, and then you can start to release it. And it ceases to exist. If you resist it and keep trying to push it away, it only gets bigger. You feed it. So it's interesting to really play with how do you start to heal any wounds inside you? How do you start to release any fear so that you really can enjoy this life and be the highest, brightest spirit you can be? And that's a great challenge. And there's so much awareness there. Such a gift. So, really looking at that part of yourself, what has the world been bringing up in you that you're ready to let go of? And it's going to be different for each of us, but here's an opportunity. You're in a grounded place, you're safe. What can you let go of that you're ready to release? This is the benefit of meditating, is it gives you that opportunity. And it just becomes a way of life every day, every minute, every hour. It's a state of being. And so, looking in that space, we've kind of looked at fear and letting go. Now, I want you to look at your love space. What does it look like? Is it little? Is it big? How much room do you have in there to really let love in? What size container is your love space? If it's a little dinky pill bottle, hey, that's not much love. So think of the grandest container you can imagine. What would you like to hold the vibration of love for you? You might need something like a football field. What's something that can have all the love that you have? You know, as a spirit, you're created from love. You're nothing but love. It's hard to be anything but love. You're totally innocent in so many ways. So, giving yourself that space, that ability, and opening up those doors, and just vibrating that love throughout your whole body, deciding that it's safe for you to have it. Maybe it wasn't growing up, but you know what? You made it. You grew up. You're here, alive and well and kicking. So give yourself plenty of room to expand, to hold all that love that you want. And then give the world the same permission. Because again, wouldn't you want to have it? Maybe in another life, you didn't get to have it. So send out that same level of love around the planet. And even to the other side, those in pure spirit. Send them a little pinch of love. Doesn't cost a thing. Raise the vibration of Earth so that everybody starts to have permission to grow and release their fear and bring this world back into a state of consciousness that's rooted in love. I think we all want the same thing. We want to be seen, we want to be honored, we want to raise our families, have a place to sleep, food. Hold that vibration for the whole planet so that we can bring that vibration up, and each of us can have that. Now, do a little check-in. Again, I like science, so just notice where your body is now. Is it calm? We've been meditating about 40 minutes, not quite. How does the body feel? Is it a little bit more relaxed? As you meditate more and more, you can come to this space instantly. So even though tough things can happen around you, you can still find this vibration. So let this calm, let this level of energy that you've created for yourself, bring it to your way of living. Imagine a calendar out in front of you for the rest of January. We know astrologically the next 2 weeks can be pretty bumpy. So would you imagine putting some of that color and that frequency in that calendar and just grounding the month ahead? Just fill it with this level of peace so that no matter what happens, you can come back to this. You can anchor into your own truth and your own ability to ground. And then create a huge gold sun above your head, twice as big as your body, filling it with that same level of peace and calm. Pop that gold sun, let it flow in, filling you from head to toe. Just giving back to yourself as a body. Giving back, knowing that this is your vibration that you can anchor into at any time. And you can stretch, wiggle that body, start to come out of that light trance. Just letting yourself come back. And bring that awareness as a spirit to your physical body. Give it a little pat. Wake it up. And let it know you as a spirit are going to take care of it. You're right there. You're an unbeatable team. So you can bring all that awareness and keep it with you 24/7. This is how the spirit helps the body. It brings its wisdom. So no matter what happens on the planet, you're covered. The trick is to unmatch from it and find your truth within you, kind of resetting yourself anytime you need to. It won't all be pretty, but we're going to be growing. We're going to be releasing a lot of energy, and we're going to fill it in with that neutrality and that love for all. Hey, we deserve it. Okay.